They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. OVO. Say OVO. Now stab this way. Stab this way. Stab this way. Stab this way. Hey, you guys, welcome to the May recap. I'm really excited to be with you guys today because I actually have a lot to talk about and a lot that I'm excited to talk about. Just some topics that really grinded my gears, really slapped me in the ass and called me f***ing Santa Claus. So we're just gonna get right into it today, okay? Yes, I'm okay. Yes, I'm also cracked the f*** out on coffee. Yes, I'm f***ing tired. But we're just gonna jump right the f*** into this. So hold on to your booty asses. Welcome to, what month is this? March, April, May, June. Welcome to the May recap, bitch. They're beefing, they're going at it. There's been a little bit of rap drama. Everybody's been talking about it. I'd be really surprised if you haven't heard anything regarding Kendrick and Drake within recent times, because this shit has just been popping off. If I could sum it up for you, it basically started out, I don't know, like a couple months back already, like 6 months back. Now, I'll be honest, the only reason I was really interested in this was because of the fucking memes. And we're gonna talk a little bit about my thoughts and opinions regarding these rappers in a few. Hello, I described this part fucking terribly. So I'm gonna re-describe it to you in a way that's condensed, as I honestly couldn't give much of a shit about the little things that have been occurring to lead up to this drama. But basically, starting with Drake on a track featuring J. Cole called First Person Shooter, shots were fired towards Kendrick, albeit minimal and unimportant. Kendrick responds with silence. Drake creates another track, making fun of Kendrick's height. Kendrick responds with silence. Drake is on his hands and knees, begging for Kendrick to deliver his diss track by creating another diss track, but this time Drake uses an AI Tupac and Snoop Dogg to have verses on the track. By this point, Drake has made it very obvious that he likes fingers in his ass, and that's the only possible way I could describe this move that he's made. And finally, after all of this silence, Kendrick responds with not one, not two, but 3 diss tracks. And although Drake's disses were about Kendrick's height and about the fact that he doesn't make music anymore, the track that Kendrick released was, on the contrary, pretty intense, accusing Drake of a bunch of things, but now we can go back to the video for that explanation. And it's basically a diss track against Drake, saying that he hopes that Drake dies, accusing Drake of basically being a and also apologizing to Drake's first son for having such a shit-ass, weird, creepy, borderline bait father, while also accusing Drake of having a daughter that he's kept under wraps or has basically lied about not having. Lots to fucking unpack. We went from, yeah, big 3, it's only me, to, you're a fucking file and I'm going to kill you with my mind, Drake. I'm gonna fucking kill you with my mind. Needless to say, everybody on the internet was flipping tits. And then Kendrick drops, they not like us. They not like us. They not like us. And all I could say is that it's a great fucking song. It's a lot more upbeat from the last one that Kendrick dropped. And it's also the one that's made the most views out of this entire drama. The song that's gotten the most attention and that's been the most popular to this day. The cover for the song being a picture of Drake's house and the markers above the house being the markers that indicate sexual predators. So, but there's something that I just want to talk about. You know, we've been sitting here talking about Drake, Kendrick, and Kendrick this, Drake this. It's also been inevitably stated that Kendrick obviously won this battle. Drake was no match for him from the start. Drake has made a fool out of himself for even thinking that he could stand up to Kendrick or even saying anything. Everybody's on the same page, and anybody who says that they agree with Drake or is on Drake's side usually gets fucking clowned by the people around them. And I've seen this IRL, I've seen it on the internet, and that makes a lot of sense. Of course, I have to say that it's alleged that Drake is a creep and a pedo and all this insane shit, but honestly, looking at the behavior over the last couple years, it's just like, would we be fucking surprised? He's a fucking deplorable famous person who's useless and has a lot of money. Would we be fucking surprised? They're all deranged. They're all deranged. And that leads me into the conversation that I wanted to have surrounding this whole thing. Now, while I got a kick out of it, and everybody else, of course, got a kick out of talking about this, coming together, listening to the music, and yippieing over the fact that they had something to talk about in regards to musicians and rap beef, there's just something else that's been like kind of marinating inside of my brain throughout all of this. There's just something that I've been thinking about, and it's like, I can't help but to think to myself, you know, it's just the fucking Illuminati 1%ers. There's just like a part of me who's like, honey, the baby scrotum eating and sacrificing Illuminati 1%ers are at it again. Honey, they're trying to distract us again. They're trying to distract us from the horrors against humanity that are occurring on the other side of the planet. Babe, look. The celebrities with millions and billions and trillions of dollars who could basically buy our lives are trying to distract us from the fact that our economy is fucking failing and everything is falling apart. They're at it again, babe. Look, sweetie, it's almost like they're trying to shy us away from the fact that Diddy's getting exposed and his shit kicked in. And also the fact that a lot of them might be protected by Diddy, so maybe, just maybe, shit is gonna further hit the fucking fan. There's something so inauthentic about this beef. And let me just start by saying, the inauthenticity comes from the fact that Drake was no match for Kendrick from the fucking start. And the only thing that would make this argument something that I believe is truly and 100% a real argument is the fact that maybe Drake has a big fucking ego. I feel like before any of this occurred, unless you have piss for brains, it's public knowledge that Kendrick Lamar is so fucking talented and has been praised for being so intelligent and sharing his stories through using the medium of rap and being able to do so and become so popular. Kendrick is no joke. Kendrick Lamar doesn't make garbage, but Drake fucking does. Drake is like this guy who raps and makes music. He drops a shit album once a fucking year, and he only gets away with it because people like garbage. People like pop. People like to follow trends. And usually what'll happen is that out of a full album that Drake will release, only 1 or 2 songs blow up, but that's enough for him. Because Lord knows that if one song off the album gets billions of fucking views, then of course he's set for not only this life, but the other like 17 more that he has planned after this, you know, when the famous people are advanced enough to fucking pop themselves into the cryogenic chambers, or when they find enough fucking baby scrotums to eat to make sure that they live 17 more lives. You know what the fuck I'm saying. I just find it really fucking interesting that nobody has questioned or talked about how weird it is that of all people to go up against each other, it's been Kendrick Lamar and Drake, because these are two vastly different artists. I honestly would go as far as to say I don't even consider Drake much of a rapper anymore. Sure, he raps in songs sometimes, but there's a lot of melodic elements that he has to his music. Sometimes he just features other people onto his albums who do more rapping than he fucking does. And then we have Kendrick, who is a rapper and a storyteller. Why are these two beefing with each other? And why the fuck did Kendrick Lamar go in so hard on Drake? It's giving Drake had to engage in another fucking embarrassment ritual. For what? I don't know. That's for us to never fucking know and for him to enjoy again in his next 17 fucking lives. And while again, I do agree with the fact that, yeah, Kendrick went in on his ass, like Kendrick went crazy on his ass, and I'm glad he got called out for being a I'm glad he got called out for being a creep, because a lot of people tend to excuse that and act like Drake isn't like completely fucking cooked when he is. Like, thank you, Kendrick, for putting that on blast for people who try to ignore it or who have been ignoring it. But there was really some dark ass energy that I got from the first diss track, which was Meet the Grahams. There was some strange dark energy, and when I was listening to that shit, my jaw was down on the fucking floor like, holy shit, okay, this is a little crazy. And speaking of which, and my final thoughts on the topic is, why the fuck has nobody gotten hurt or shot yet? We remember Tupac and Biggie, right? We remember how they were going at each other's necks for a while, and eventually it inevitably led to the death of both rappers. Well, that's because this rap shit that they were engaging with was fucking serious. Not only was it somewhat gang related, but they had people involved in each other's lives that eventually culminated in the two's death because of how inflammatory the rap game was and the crazy shots that were being thrown from one end to the other. And I watched a video recently that finally explained everything to me on how that whole thing even started in the first place, which is crazy because I learned that apparently it was like a misunderstanding and Biggie didn't want no fucking beef with Tupac. It was just other people like in the background kind of stoking shit up to the point of where it ended up where it did. All that to say, that shit was fucking like serious. Like, that shit was serious as fuck. So when all of this started coming out, and I remember when I was in my room listening to Drake's songs and then also listening to Meet the Grahams after, I was like, damn, you don't think this is gonna end up like some really crazy shit where somebody gets fucking hurt? I'm shocked nobody has thus far, and I'll be especially shocked if nobody ends up getting fucking hurt. But in the end, that'll just further prove to me that this was probably something that Kendrick and Drake knew about before any of it even started, shook hands on with full awareness that they were gonna make a bag or solidify their sarcophagi underneath the Met Museum. And that's really all I have to say on the topic. Also, I'm very non-confrontational and I don't like when people fight. When I heard about this in the beginning, I was a little scared. I'm always like the little kid in the family parties who's like screaming at the top of their lungs, no, 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 while grandpa's trying to crack a beer bottle on your uncle's fucking head, and the girls who are originally trying to break it up start fucking scrapping. There's just me in the background like, no, please, 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 we can be peaceful, we don't have to do this. So I kind of like felt that way a little bit just because I hate confrontation, I hate when people fight, and I don't want it to end in anybody dying. Is that controversial to say? I mean, maybe we don't need Drake all that much, but it would just be really dark if it ended in that, is all I'm trying to say. Baby Reindeer. So if you don't know, Baby Reindeer is a show that came out on Netflix. Upon seeing it for the first time, you might think, oh, the premise sounds really cool. But what you come to find out is that the guy who plays the main character experienced everything that happens to him in the show. So not only did he write, direct, and play the main character in the show, but this main character is literally the carbon copy / reflection of himself and events that occurred in his life at a certain time before, of course, writing it. And this was a really interesting thing to find out. I think that was how a lot of people felt about Baby Reindeer, because when I first saw it in my Netflix feed, I was somewhat interested, thinking maybe I could pick this up sometime. The second I went on TikTok and found out that he was the one that wrote, starred in it, and that he also experienced what happens in the show, I was like, oh, that's fucking interesting. And I watched it. And before I talk about how I feel about Baby Reindeer, let's talk about some of the fallout that's occurred following the release of the show. It's a show about a guy who gets stalked. He gets stalked by Crazy Lady. Crazy Lady stalks him. So, if all of these characters are based on real people, including the second main character of the show who is a deranged stalker, does that mean there's a possibility for any of these people to reach out or to watch this show and realize that they're the ones being portrayed? Or even worse, is there a possibility that crazy and deranged Netflix watchers will go out of their way to seek these people themselves? Who would have fucking thought? Apparently a lot of people who watched the show ended up looking for Martha, the woman who was the stalker character portrayed in the show. And they found her and she went on a late night show to basically babble on about a whole bunch of crazy shit and try and debunk the show itself and the producer and his experiences and emotions. And honestly, it's just been a bit of a shit show, as she said that she's also planning on pressing charges against Netflix, but we'll see how that goes. That's enough filling you in about the news to follow Baby Reindeer ever since its release, but I wanted to talk a little bit about people's reactions to the show, and I definitely recommend it to anybody who's interested in having their brain turned into scrambled eggs for a few hours. But of course, huge trigger warning because there's heavy topics and depictions of all kinds of abuse. Hey, so let's talk. While recording this video, I was kind of burrowed for time and a little all over the place. So I didn't really get to articulate why Baby Reindeer was so relatable to me, and also why I just think it's generally an important watch for people. You guys know I do a better time with scripted things, so the other day I was sat in a bar and I wrote down my thoughts and I decided to share with you. So again, heavy triggers and spoilers up ahead. This show doesn't shy away from absolutely anything, and I wonder if that was cathartic for Richard Gadd, which was the man who wrote Baby Reindeer and of course the man who stars in it. And that's also something that I could generally relate to as an artist. A lot of the comments that I've wrote, the elements in them or the main character's struggles are things that I've experienced and been through. And we've seen this time and time again, I think. What is art if it's not the rawest form of expression by the person who's creating it? Well, I think I've mentioned before on this channel that I've been assaulted in a couple different ways. I do have traumatic experiences, and I think it's caused some irreversible damage, to say the least, or at least damage that will take years and years to repair through therapy and rehabilitation. I've been sexually assaulted more than once, and I have this really dark ongoing joke where it's like, Jeez, again? It's almost like you're trying to win a fucking trophy at this point. A gold medal for how many times you've been sexually assaulted. Whenever I say that joke to close friends, people laugh, but that is after their jaw is on the floor. But we cope how we cope. You have to laugh or you'll be crying. While watching Baby Reindeer, there were so many times where the person beside me would say, "Why did he do that? Why did he react this way? Why didn't he just walk away? What's wrong with him?" And I would just be sitting there in silence because of how fucked up I felt relating to this story, and how even in the split moment where I may have thought why, I've thought about the many times in my life where I've done some crazy shit and have had to say, why did I do this directly after? Or have had the people around me question why I do something so destructive. I know what it's like to spiral and react negatively on account of your sexual assaults. I understand what it's like to engage in situations that are more harmful and damaging than anything else because of a self-hatred that culminates from traumatic experiences like sexual assault. I know what it's like to feel bad for someone. I know what it's like to feel so bad for somebody that no matter how unhealthy your relationship is to them, you cannot get rid of them. And it's only you that's holding yourself back. I know what it's like to have this unhealthy relationship with a person and to also be unable to detach yourself from them in a way because you enjoy the fact that you're getting a certain kind of attention. A sort of attention that you're not used to as an attention-seeking person. I know what it's like to feel so bad for a broken person that part of you sees yourself in them, or part of you wishes and genuinely thinks that you can fix it. And to feel so bad that each time you attempt to extend the olive branch with full awareness that you're digging yourself deeper and deeper into a hole that you know is going to be harder to get out of the more you engage in these kinds of cycles. I know what it's like to wonder if your sexuality is a result of trauma. I know what it's like to wonder if you would be normal or straight if you just weren't exposed to a traumatic event that forced you to experience something with the opposite gender. I know what it's like to question everything in your life based off of that, and to feel immense pain, alienation, and confusion while pondering such heavy thoughts. And this part isn't on script, but, you know, when it comes to being LGBT and living your life with pride, I tend to feel shame sometimes, and it's got nothing to do with the world around me, but simply because of my trauma and what I've gone through. And I just wish we wouldn't shy away from that as much as we do. I wish that we could acknowledge it a little bit more, because for me, acknowledgement feels like understanding instead of just sweeping it under the rug and saying that I was born this way when there might be a possibility that I wasn't. And to go on a bit of a tangent, this doesn't mean that I don't like vagina. I guess it just means that in an alternate reality, if I never was forced to try it in the first place, I might be none the wiser, but I'm not gonna ponder those realities. But I'd be none the wiser because I wouldn't have tried something that I just ended up liking more in the end anyways. And I also know the intense amount of emptiness and disappointment that you can feel when overcoming or closing the doors on these intense toxic relationships. To overcome a situation like that and to no longer be getting the attention from this person, whether it be because they get locked up, similarly to the story in Baby Reindeer, which ends with Martha, the stalker, getting locked up, or whether it be because finally this relationship has truly and actually come to an end for one reason or another. And yet still, in the back of your mind, there's a full awareness and fear, coupled with an inevitable excitement for the time that this person and you might cross paths again, or for the time that they might reach out again, despite the horrible things that they've said to you, despite the horrible things that they've done to you, and the horrible things that you've experienced while having this negative force in your life. And I think that Baby Reindeer is so important because of the fact that it explores what can really happen to a person after they've been sexually assaulted. It comes in many different shapes and forms, people's reactions to trauma like this. And I think this show said a lot of things that so many people are afraid to say for obvious reason, but things that are so necessary when it comes to thinking critically and being compassionate to those around us. Baby Reindeer is a very intense show with very intense themes and subject matter that not everybody can necessarily understand unless they've been through it. Because again, what's the main reaction that you tend to hear from the people who watch this show? It's that they're frustrated with the main character. It's the endless list of why didn't he do that? Why couldn't he just do this? A list that goes back to the same answer being, well, if you've never experienced it, you simply wouldn't know. But that's human. That's so human of us. And in a way, that's okay. And that's what I love about Baby Reindeer. It forces us to ask these questions. It brings us up close to the main character and his personality while sorting through some really deep-rooted trauma. And not all of us get exposure to that. So between what Richard Gadd and the main character in the story went through, and between the feedback or comments of not understanding that your everyday person has been asking with the release of Baby Reindeer, it all comes back to the fact that it's just real human shit. It's real dark, intense, and curious human behavior that I think is really important to acknowledge all around. Because when we acknowledge things and when we face that, it just brings us closer together. It brings us closer to not only understanding ourselves, but also the people and the world around us. It also helps us to react with compassion and with understanding, as opposed to asking why a person did or didn't do this or that, especially following these traumatic experiences, or acknowledging that when a person does something, it might be because there is a deeper meaning or deeper trauma behind it. And I just really hope that above all, and outside of the frenzy that's occurred with the real life people who are portrayed as characters in the show, I just hope that in the very least, it has brought some people together or has made people a little bit more compassionate. A TikToker in my Christian YouTube video? We're talking about a TikToker, okay? We're talking about Fannita. Now, if you don't know Fannita, bitch, me fucking neither. That's a little bit of a lie. I've been following this TikToker. Her name is Fannita. Originally, maybe last year, I followed her because I liked her opinions. I thought she was really fucking funny. I thought that every time she had an opinion on something, she was real as fuck, articulate about it, made a lot of sense, and usually you'd find a bunch of people in the comments agreeing with her and praising her for the things that she was saying. But it seems that lately things have been going a little downhill for Fannita. Fannita got a surgery and lost a lot of weight, which is awesome. Congratulations to her. This, coupled with what people are alleging to be abuse, which may just be fatigue, has been basically leading to her downfall. She's been complaining about some reasonable shit, such as the fact that white creators get more opportunities and make more money than black creators and influencers. She's also been talking about how nobody gave a fuck about listening to her, about the things that she said when she was fat. But the irony about that last statement is how little people are regarding her now that she's going off the fucking rails. Girl, you're skinny and people are listening to you less than they probably ever have before. And also, who the fuck is gonna take you seriously when you're going around talking about how much you hate your fans, how much you hate the viewers, or how much you hate people talking shit about you, and even how much you hate haters? I do have to say, I feel like something that a lot of influencers and people don't realize is that constantly calling out the haters or talking shit about your haters or giving energy to your haters is not a good thing. Bro, that shit is fucking awful. Like, that is the worst thing that you can do as a creator. And maybe from a more spiritual aspect, it's just because you're giving energy to something that really doesn't deserve your energy at all. It doesn't even deserve acknowledgement, because at the end of the day, there are people who are not gonna like you. There are people who are gonna hate you. No matter how good you try to be or how nice you try to be to to everybody. There are going to be people in this existence that don't like you. But for those people are 5 people who think that you're awesome, think that you're cool, and generally appreciate your existence. So why are we giving our energy to shitheads who don't give a fuck about us? Furthermore, on the spiritual tip, people pick up on that energy and they don't fucking like it. Because bitch, how the fuck am I here supporting you? How the fuck am I here putting money in your pocket? How the fuck am I here advocating for you? And you're gonna turn around and talk about your haters. What about me? The fuck? This is something that I've noticed before, and it's very much giving lol cow behavior. And as Fannita continues to talk shit about the haters, she also finds ways to diss her fans and random people regardless.
I want y'all to know something about the way that I'm talking to y'all and about how I'm speaking to y'all and my hostility and everything. Well, it's because I fucking hate y'all. What? You can't say that you hate us. I absolutely can. Because when I was a fat, dark-skinned, loud, confident black woman, that's all y'all ever said to me. Let's get something clear. The reason a lot of y'all don't like me isn't because I went to Tart and I was hanging out with white girls. It isn't because I said people were ugly. And it isn't because I said that bastard had thin lips. It's because I'm an anomaly. There's no other bitch that has done the things that I've done with the odds stacked against them. It was Vegas, baby. And every single time I went all in on Fannita. When I was fat, it was fun to hate me. It was fun to get y'all jokes off. It was fun to degrade me. It was fun to treat me like I was subhuman. I'm not here to give an apology to my haters, though. Y'all gonna have to keep waiting. But what I will do is apologize to my poor bitches that fuck with me. There are many days where I slept on the ground, slept on the floor, didn't have a blanket, didn't have a comforter. You know what I mean? My friends had to buy my school lunch. Piss me the fuck off. Oops. Don't come out the house when I'm on the street like this.
My bad.
Bitch, I'm on the street.
Let me get a citation.
I'm on the street, bitch. I don't like bitches prettier than me. I really don't.
We both eat it. 2024 is about making them eat it.
No, I don't like bitches that try to outdo me.
Get out of
outdid
here.
me.
It's me from the future with the fuck my shit up 3000, but I just wanted to say that I think what a massive problem is Fannita's humility or lack thereof. Because at the end of the day, when people can't be fucking humble, nobody likes that. Like, there's a certain way that you could bring confidence to the table without sacrificing the fact that you're a humble person or the fact that you understand, like, your place as somebody with success or with nice things, especially when you came from nothing the way that Fannita says that she has. Also, this clip to me that I played earlier for you guys where she's talking about how nobody's ever been through what she's been through and nobody's done it like her is just another reminder of ego and the way that it's like controlling her, because at the end of the day, even though we go through like different constants and variables in our lives, I'm sure that there are people, black overweight women, who have struggled in a lot of ways the same way that she has and who have had to overcome in similar ways that she has had to overcome. To say that you're like different or an anomaly is kind of showing that you're really removed from reality in a way, and also is a fucked up display of that ego peeking out. To think that the world revolves around you and that you're so special that nobody's been through what you've been through. You'll be shocked to find out how many people relate to you or how many people have been through similar ass situations, so long as you get your head out from being so far up your fucking ass. Gag it! I gag it! Ow! I also really quickly wanted to touch on the drug abuse allegations. You know, I'm not gonna perpetuate a narrative, especially something that we don't know is definitively true. But at the end of the day, this, like, alleged abuse could very well just be mania. And that's what I'll lean on until I see any further proof. But I do want to say that I think the reason people are bringing that up is because of the fact that her content went from structured, somewhat understandable, cool stuff, things that people were fucking with heavily, to quite literal gibberish. You could go look at the comments on her last recent posts. Usually these posts are her just talking for like a minute, a couple minutes, something like that. And everybody is like, girl, what the fuck are you talking about? And when you're just talking gibberish, whether it's because of a certain kind of substance abuse or because of mania, you lose the plot and people are gonna be less prone to actually want to listen to what you're saying. And yeah, so moral of the story is just be humble. Like, that's literally not gonna hurt you or anybody or your business. But to go around and act like there's nobody in the world like you, while also demeaning people, whether it's your fans or your haters, like I said, energy is real, and that negative energy will come right back to you. And I feel like it's low-key been showing. And that last clip that I showed you guys where she's with the drag queen, she's like, I don't like when bitches look prettier than me. I understand that shit like that is supposed to be a compliment, but I fucking hate when people do these backhanded ass compliments. Either tell me something fucking nice or don't say anything at all. And the drag queen, like, takes it on the chin. Like, she pretty chill, gangster about it. She don't really say much. Queen is even, like, actively trying to make it about both of them looking good. But I feel like you could kind of tell that she's like, okay, girl, like, what do you want me to say to that? Like, you don't like when a bitch looks prettier than you? Well, if you think people look prettier than you, it's because people look fucking prettier than you. That's all subjective. And in a way, you're like putting yourself down by while trying to compliment this person. It just shows your fucking insecurities like heavily. Like it really does display that. And it's not cute. People don't like that. And that's all I gotta say. Sit down. Hold up. Be humble. And it's also sad to see a young black creator who was building an audience doing so well just throwing it all down the garbage because of ego. It's moments like this that I actually feel really, really glad that I didn't pop off on any social media when I was younger or when I first started posting on YouTube. For those of you who don't know, I've been doing this shit for a while, since high school to be exact. And when I was in college, I had a couple videos that made a couple thousand views, one even reaching 20,000 views. And then, in the middle of COVID, I stopped fucking posting. Now, of course, we could say that part of the reason was because I spilled ginger ale on my laptop while we were 1 month in, but there also was just a complete and utter lack of inspiration. Before I even spilled ginger ale on the laptop, there had been 4 videos that were recorded, that were trashed, that I didn't like, that I didn't think would make for good content, and YouTube was a flop for me, despite the fact that I had built up some kind of audience. I often say though that God works in extremely mysterious ways. In the middle of COVID, I began to use drugs pretty heavily. On the flip side, I learned a lot about myself and learned that there were a lot of drugs that I would never be using ever again because of the traumatic experiences that I went through while using these substances. And in a way, I'm fucking glad, because I cannot imagine having an audience of like 500,000 followers, even 25,000 followers, to a massive 1 million, 2 million, 3 million followers. I couldn't imagine having that kind of weight and pressure on me, and then going to these influencer parties or being around people who had access to these drugs with no prior experience. I think that would have been a recipe for fucking disaster if I would have blown up when I was 21 or 22. That I would not have been ready for that kind of pressure for a multitude of reasons. But I remember when I was going through that rough time in COVID where I didn't want to create content, I would always ask myself, why am I doing this? We had a nice momentum. Why can't I make videos? Why can't I continue on? Now in my big age, in my final stages of frontal lobe development, all I feel is thankfulness, because if I would have kept going with that momentum, I would not have been able to handle everything that would follow and everything that would come with having a larger audience. I'm reminded of this time and time again, between what happened to Too Mad, what's happening now to Fannita and her cracking psyche, what's happening to one of the D'Amelio sisters, and so on and so forth. But that's enough about Fannita. I hope you get fucking well soon, girl. Get it together. Who up wending their goon? I can't talk right now. I'm Wendigooning. She on my end until I goon. Oh my god. Okay, this is people trying to cancel Wendigoon, probably for like the 5th time this year. Why are people trying to cancel Wendigoon? Who the fuck is Wendigoon? Wendigoon is a YouTuber. He's got several million followers. He's goated with the sauce. He usually makes content about a variety of things. Some stuff is horror oriented. He makes a lot of iceberg and conspiracy videos, things along those lines. Wendigoon is also a Christian, and he also likes guns. And apparently, according to Twitter, this is all the reason that we should be canceling him and throwing him in the fucking garbage. Or saying that he doesn't belong on the streets, similarly to what we would say to a fucking predator. Yeah, this guy released a YouTube video shitting on Wendigoon, saying things that basically either didn't make sense, were there to destroy his fucking character, or using the fact that he associates himself with certain people to drive home the fact that Wendigoon is a piece of shit that nobody should be following or interested in continuing to support.
You're not aware, Wendigoon is a horror conspiracy theorist YouTuber with several million subscribers that, as you will hopefully come to see, should not be seen as the wholesome southern friendly dad persona that he has publicly constructed around himself in the past several years. And that, like many people who talk about being Christians as much as he does, has a dark past with deep ties to far-right extremism.
There are so many things that I have to say about this video, but I don't think Wendigoon is a bad person because he's a Christian. People are trying to say that because he's a Christian who likes guns, he's also on the conservative spectrum, and honestly, who gives a fuck? Like, yeah, I'm a conservative too. I'd be conserving my balls for your mother to consume. Also, blah, 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 he's a conservative because he hangs out with this person and that person and this person. And my biggest issue with the fact that you want to tear somebody down for associating themselves with other people is like, dude, if I could dig deep and find like 2 people that you fucking associate with, I'm sure that they've got some dirt behind them. Like, not everybody that you associate yourself with and hang out with or talk to is squeaky fucking clean. Actually, guess what? Surprise, surprise. There's no fucking human on this planet who is squeaky fucking clean, who's done nothing wrong. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Big surprise. Something that really pisses me off about cancel culture is just the fact that we're trying to act like people are like inherently good always, and that they always do good, and that they're always gonna be good, and that they've done nothing wrong, and that we need to put these people who are super, super good on a pedestal, while other people who have made mistakes once in their lives deserve to burn and die in hell. And that's fucking crazy to me. I say it in another YouTube video that should be posted by the time that I post it. There's no such thing as just good people, and sometimes there's also no such thing as just bad people. Now granted, I think that there are some people who are bad and who are going to fucking hell, but outside of that, you're either a good person who does bad shit sometimes, who's also trying their hardest, or you're a bad person who sometimes does good shit. Like, there is no fucking black and white. None of you are fucking saints. I'm not a fucking saint. I'm a crazy person. And at the end of the day, I think that if people show incentive to want to learn and grow, that's what fucking matters the most. Like, so long as they haven't committed something that is a deplorable act and crime against humanity, I think that everybody's got a shot at redemption. And I think that everybody deserves a chance or deserves to be heard, in the very least. Understood for why they may have thought the way that they did, or why they may have done the things that they've done. And I just don't think that there's enough of that in this day and age, and it pisses me the fuck off. Granted, I associate myself with reasonable ass people who kind of are on that similar tip that I'm on, where there is grace being given to the people around us. But not everybody's like that, and I feel like these fucking basement dwelling internet Twitter people are those kinds of people who point the finger not realizing that there's fucking 3 pointing back at them. And it's always a little entertaining, but it always just kind of sucks because it's useless. It's helpless drama, it's helpless fear-mongering, it's helpless putting yourself on a pedestal to shame the people around you for either being stupid or for liking something. Like, bitch, I like Wendigoon. Shut the fuck up. I don't fucking care if he put fucking ketchup on his tuna salad sandwich. Like, bitch, what the fuck does that have to do with me? So yeah, this kid made this video. He also calls out a bunch of other YouTubers. Everybody's consensus is that he's upset that he hasn't blown up or gained extreme popularity, and so he's just taking it out on a bunch of fucking people. And I think the reason that people tend to use Wendigoon as a target so often is because of the fact that, like, objectively, he's pretty squeaky clean. And he's also extremely fucking popular, and we all know they hate to see a gangsta winning. We can't pick a fucking easy target. We can't pick actual horrible people that are actually horrible because we know that they're fucking horrible. We have to try and go out here and make an expose on somebody who minds their own business and loves what the fuck they do. And that shit is ghetto as hell to me. It's also very bigoted of people to sit around and try and disgrace people for being Christian, or try to call them right-wing for being Christian. Bitch, I'm a tranny, and my name is Ella Devil, and I'm low-key crazy, but I've been building up my own relationship with Christianity and God, and trying to fix it from what it used to be. And that tends to fucking shock people, but that just goes to show that we need to stop with the judgmental shit, and we need to stop with the black and white shit. So fucking ironic that these people who are like super fucking left-wing, supposed to be open-minded and supportive of all kinds of shit, are actually not, which is also something I talk about in the unpopular opinions video. And if you haven't seen it, go fucking check it out, because I'm getting real sick and tired of y'all's bullshit. Did Wendigoon lose any followers for this expose? No. As a matter of fact, he responded to it in a very grown and evolved manner.
Please, no one harass or comment rude things on my behalf. I do not agree with or condone meanness in any way. If you are here to leave a spiteful remark on my behalf, don't. Nothing good comes from anger. I want to apologize for people saying awful things to you on Twitter. I did not know this was happening, and I don't stand by that behavior. I followed you because I saw your Slenderman video, and enjoyed it. Then I saw you in my recommended follows. It sounds like you strongly dislike me, and that's okay. But if I have done anything to cause that, I apologize. If I have ever spoken against you without cause or made any joke at your expense, I am sorry. I did not follow you to harass you, but if that contributed in any way, I wish I could take it back. You don't have to like me, but I hope you do not feel I have ill will against you. There is a lot you assumed incorrectly about me, but that's to be expected. I try to keep my life private in what ways I can, and my friends mentioned in the video can take up for themselves. I will only point out that your assertion about Brandon Buckingham is particularly egregious because the lie regarding a threat was made up by Sneeko when Brandon called him out on his behavior. I know you wouldn't support an internet figure like Sneeko, but you inadvertently did by not checking the source. I've made similar mistakes. Most YouTubers have at one point or the other, but harmful allegations spread when people parrot rather than decipher data. I have said things in the past that I do not agree with now, and I am learning to better myself daily, and each day find myself more in the wrong. I am sorry for the things I've said to bring hurt or strife to any person or people. May God forgive me. I hope you are successful. The Slenderman video was great, and I hope you don't find myself or my audience impeding your career. And again, if you are here to leave a mean comment for me, don't be.
And I'm proud of him. Alright, and like, that's my dad, basically. Like, I have a dad, I have a good relationship with my dad, but that's my fucking father, okay? And that about does it for today's video. I'm running on 8,000 miles per hour, I'm fucking exhausted, but I'm glad we got to sit down and talk about shit that I wanted to talk about with you. And I hope that you enjoyed this week's video. Last one was kind of lackluster, and I wasn't very proud of it, which is why I didn't promote it as much as I will this one, and as much as I have the previous ones. But basically, here's what the rule is gonna be from here on out. If the month goes by, and I do find shit to talk about, I will come in front of this camera and make a recap that month. But if there's just a month that goes by where nothing catches my eye and there's nothing of interest to me, I'm just not even gonna bother when I could be working on other videos that are equally as important as a good recap. So I hope that that's cool. Also, my phone ran out of space, so there is no end of the video. This is the end. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'm also gonna try to start cursing less because I think YouTube suppresses that. So, oopsie poopsie. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. I have something different coming along. I hope that some people enjoy it. Until then, I'm El the Devil, and goodbye.